Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my first weekly review of The Walking Dead Season 6. This week's episode was the Season 6 premiere, entitled First Time Again. And, so I was looking forward to The Walking Dead coming back. Of course, it's one of my favorite shows on air. And, I will say I did enjoy the premiere. I did think it was, a solid episode. But I will say I wasn't completely blown away by it or anything like that. I didn't think there's anything amazing about it or anything too great or anything like that besides the Walker visuals and stuff like that on the scale of the whole plan they had and things like that. But I do think it was a decent start, not exactly as good as I was hoping for though. But I am happy that the show is back on, of course, just not the exciting start that I was expecting. It didn't really pull me in like I was planning on. But again, as I said about 10 times by now, sorry for the repetitiveness, I did enjoy it, just a little tad bit disappointed maybe. But my cat's out the door, of course, to start off the video. Sorry about that, guys, the drill. But yeah, not exactly the start I was expecting. I was in the mood today. I did wear my Walking Dead shirt in anticipation. But a lot of the episode was composed of these black and white flashbacks they had show, which kind of shows some of the direct aftermath of how Season 5 ended, of course, with Pete and Rick having to kill him, Morgan seeing that, and then also just how they kind of dealt with each other after the fact. And then as they discovered this place that had all these walkers contained in them, they figured that eventually there's gonna be rain, and then eventually the trucks would slide off or fall over or something like that. And then also the fact that there's a couple walkers slipping through every so often, so they had to deal with these ones. And then they're hurting them, and with the, what is it, well, I can't think right now, the flares, yeah, okay. But as they're planning that, of course they see Rick go into conflict with another, I almost said Woodbury, that'd be better, but anyway. Ant's dog barking at something out there. Here, that I get really obsessed with. But yeah, sorry about that. I'll try my best to ignore it. Anyway, he comes into conflict with this other Alexandria citizen. We didn't see any of them last season, but we didn't see any of him last season, but that's kind of what this episode did too. They introduced some new characters that we never even heard of, and now they're just here. Okay. We got introduced to Heath. They used the explanation of him and a couple other smaller characters. They're out on a run. They've been gone for, I think you said 2 weeks or something like that. And now they're just coming back now. And then Carter, they didn't really have an excuse for him. He was just there all of a sudden speaking up. So I guess that was just, I don't know what it was for, because the character got killed within the same episode. So he didn't really do anything with that. So I don't really get the point. Just to create a conflict for the episode to fill out time, I don't know. But that was okay. And again, it was just interesting seeing the Rick and Morgan dynamic too, except that wasn't as much of a concentration as the trailer was selling it to be. But again, we'll see how it is for the rest of the season. I remember the way the Season 6 trailer looked. They had it looking like Morgan was going to be directly confronting Rick and trying to stop him and take over Alexandria and help Deanna and stuff like that. But no, it's not like that at all. Morgan is a lot more understanding of Rick's point of view, and he gets it. But at the same time, he sort of quietly disapproves of it every so often and things like that. And he's like I said, understanding, but at the same time he is trying to reach out to the Rick he thinks he knows, and Rick tries to sort of brush that off, saying basically saying that Morgan doesn't really know him now. He doesn't really know how he is because he hasn't been there to experience what he's been through or how that's affected him and the things he's done in the past and stuff like that. Except Morgan may still be somewhat understanding of it because he's gone through his own personal trauma, of course, with losing his wife and then what happened to his son. We haven't seen that yet, but we heard about how it happened. And there was a moment that made me chuckle a little bit, I will say, though. Before I get to that, though, they were going back and forth between the black and white flashbacks, showing the steps of their plan to, herd the walkers and stuff. And, like I said, the aftermath of the season 5 finale. I did think the way they cut back and forth to that, back and forth between them so often was kind of a little bit too often. I could understand a handful of times throughout the episode maybe, but they did it like every minute, every couple minutes or something like that. And I sort of get seeing some of the aftermath of it and the planning and stuff like that. But they probably could have just included that in the actual episode if they wanted to, or, then people have complained it was too slow or something. But, I just thought it wasn't really necessary to show, like, every single flashback they did. I sort of understood it, again, for the Morgan stuff and, for the conversations they had. And, I don't know, it just didn't click. I didn't think they needed to do it as often as they did. But, some of the stuff was good, showing Rick putting a fork in the plans that Carter had to sort of like overthrow him, basically. And that led to Carter just dying in the episode anyway, so again, it was kind of pointless. I don't know. But the part that did make me chuckle, I just mentioned a minute or two ago, was during the present day point of the episode, Morgan all of a sudden just starts talking to Michonne, and he's like, did you take the peanut butter, protein bar, when you were in the town and stuff like that, when they seen him back in season 3 in the Clear episode, and she said she didn't, and he said I could have swore there's one more peanut butter, and you always think there's another peanut butter. I don't know, that was kind of funny just to see Morgan and Michonne kind of banter off each other like that, and just sort of get a reference back to an older episode. I just thought that was kind of fun. But, and the episode, I will say, the amount of walkers was impressive. It was a cool visual, to see, like, a scale of how many walkers are on screen and stuff like that. But, I don't know, there's just something about it that I didn't fully enjoy as much as I was probably expected to. Again, it's cool, there are a lot of walkers, but we only got teased with what I think are the wolves at the end of the episode, because as their plan falls apart, Carter gets his face bitten and Rick is kind of forced to put him down, and then we see that we hear a horn go off, and it happens to be we don't see who it is yet, but I think it's probably going to be the wolves, part of their first initial attack in the season maybe. Some people think it's Father Gabriel or something like that. Someone even said Negan. It's not Negan yet. I wouldn't plan on that. But, I'm guessing it's going to be the wolves. So the conflict that I told us about with the wolves isn't happening yet. It is happening at the end of the episode. I could be wrong, though. But, and based on the previews for next week episode, it looks like the real premiere will be next week. Again, I feel weird, I sound like I'm bad-mouthing the show. It's not bad. I just was expecting more from the premiere. Not that much happened. We basically seen flashbacks with just a bunch of running around, and I don't think it was that effective. It wasn't that building. It didn't really process the story. It didn't push it along any further. I did like Heath, though. He did seem like a likable character, and him and Eugene met at the gate and stuff like that. Even though it still seems like sort of a now explanation that he was out for 2 weeks and no one had mentioned him and his team before in season 5. So it's a bit of a plot hole there, but we can kind of accept it. We can kind of get past that part, I think. And I did like the scene of Morgan, when Rick walked in, he was training with his staff and stuff like that. We also seen Carl, and Enid hold hands a little bit, so I don't know if they're officially a couple now or what, but, be on the lookout for them. Rick also tried to talk to Jessie, but, she's sort of being a little bit distant from him because although her husband was abusive, she's still not completely sure of Rick at this point. And, especially with the way her son, I think his name is Ron, feels about him. Because I don't see... Ron had to have known how his dad acted, right? How he hit his mom and, probably abused his brother, too. Probably hit Ron, too, but why would Ron be so hostile to a guy who, killed his father like that? I mean, okay, well, obviously he'd be hostile because it was his father, so it's somewhat understandable, but it was a father who completely treated him like shit, apparently. So I don't get why he'd be so pissed at Rick and, basically want him dead based on the trailer. But again, we'll see how that goes. I did like this also the scene between Morgan and Carol in one of the flashback sequences. Morgan sort of, I thought it was cool that Morgan could somewhat see past Carol's facade a little bit. He asked her if she was a cop, because of the way she's watching and observing and stuff like that and sort of studying. So he doesn't just think she's a regular, airhead housewife or something like that she's trying to put off. Definitely not a cop, but it's cool that Morgan can see there's more to her than what she's trying to, make everyone else think. I did like seeing Michonne too. She's one of my favorites on the show. It was cool to see Daryl, silently riding the bike and stuff like that. Daryl did have another good moment in this episode, though. In one of the flashbacks, we see that Daryl and Rick sort of disagreed on, going out to rescue more people and bringing them back. Rick says they're just going to have to, survive on their own like we did. And, Daryl says, it wouldn't be a waste of time to bring these people back. It'll only help us, basically, is what their messages to each other were. And, I think in a way they're both right. Rick doesn't want to take any chances anymore, so he doesn't want to risk bringing more people in, going through all that and stuff like that. But Daryl thinks there's strength in numbers, which there is. So, I don't know, they're kind of on different ends of the spectrum too at this point, but I really like how they still kind of respect each other's word and things like that. It's been like that for quite a while. So I do like their friendship. But there's really not much more I have to say about this episode because not a whole lot happened story-wise, to be completely honest, I did like it, though. It wasn't bad. I like seeing the characters again. But it wasn't as memorable of an episode as it was being hyped up to be, I don't think. I'm still glad it's back, though, and I'll definitely be reviewing it every week, so you guys can look forward to that. Except my review for the third episode of the season will probably be a bit delayed since we'll be at my brother's in Arkansas. But I'll probably do a review of it when I get back, maybe, but we'll see. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I did enjoy it, just wasn't quite as much as I was expecting. Still enjoy the show, still be reviewing it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Add me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, MoviePilot, and look for InSpoiledDead.com. Peace.